Welcome to this remastered version of a 2015 series called Dja Dja Wurrung Radio. This series was made possible by a community grant from the Mount Alexander Shire Council. Created for MAINfm to be aired as short 5 to 10 minute segments to highlight and celebrate local Indigenous culture past and present. The series was shortlisted for the 2016 Reconciliation Victoria Hart Awards. For ease of listening, we've edited them together into 30 to 40 minute episodes and have linked episodes by theme rather than representing the order that they were originally broadcast in. So every time you hear the didgeridoo, you'll know it's the beginning or the end of an episode. We hope you enjoy it.
You're listening to a glimpse into the history and culture of the Dja Dja Wurrung people.
Presented by Uncle Rick Nelson and Ali Hanley.
I refer to myself as a descendant of the Dja Dja Wurrung people. We've done some family research stuff on our family tree thing and traced it back to a man named Henry Harmony Nelson, who was born out around Carisbrook in 1855, and possibly a couple more generations past him, but there's some contradictory evidence about him, so there's still some more research to be done on his parents and grandparents and stuff. And basically he got moved around and he ended up at Gunja on the Goulburn River, Murray River, and that's where my father was born, and he met a Castlemaine lady, and we find ourselves back here again.
So the Dja Dja Wurrung land extends quite a distance. Can you describe it to us?
Yeah, the Dja Dja Wurrung boundaries, if you like, start at, say, run between Creswick and Ballarat, down to around to Mount Macedon, up to just below Kerrang, I think Cow Swamp, and then over to Charlton, and down to Avoca and back down to Creswick. It basically takes in the Pyrenees range, the Avoca and Avon and Loddon River.
Wow, that's pretty huge.
Yeah, it is pretty huge. It's around 2,000 square k's.
Yeah,
I think.
Do we know what the Dja Dja Wurrung, what that name means?
Dja is sort of is a word for yes, or Dja, and Wurrung is like tongue or speak or speech. So sort of it's yes, speak. It's like the people who said yes or something like that. And we found out too, or sort of know that most of the surrounding neighbouring tribes, about half a dozen, 6 or 7 tribes, it's politically incorrect to say tribes now, they're a language group. Their names mean no. You've got Uwoi Wurrung, Uwoi is a word for no. Wada Wurrung, Wada is no. Watcha Bullock, Watcha is no. And a few of those. And we haven't really sort of worked that out to date, why that is. We're still sort of trying to work that out.
Within the language group of the Dja Dja Wurrung, there's multiple clans. How does that work? Yeah,
well, there's 16 odd clans, up to possibly 20, around 20 clans. A clan is basically a extended family group. You've got your cousins and your uncles and aunties and grandparents and then people who marry into your clan or into your family. You know, some of their people might come across and and hang with your family, and it becomes a clan. There's a clan basically, and there's around 16, possibly up to around 20 clans in the Dja Dja Wurrung extended family.
So today I'm with Rick, and he has spent a lot of time doing a lot of interesting things in his life, but one of the things that he did was when the Calder Freeway was being built. It used to be, it was the Calder Highway, and then it got changed into the freeway, around the year 2000. And Rick, you worked on that.
Yeah, we worked on that. When they move big groundworks like that, they have to do Indigenous cultural heritage surveys. So we got to work on that.
So what does that mean? They have to get Indigenous people in to judge whether or not it's sacred land?
Mainly you're there to help archaeologists. You work with archaeologists, we support them. But yeah, we're looking for Aboriginal heritage.
So what sort of things would you be looking for as you went along?
Well, there's a few common things that are found around central Victoria, still left after the gold rush and stuff. One thing, pretty obvious things are scar trees. Aboriginal people took the bark off the trees for various implements and tools and stuff. Canoes being an obvious one.
Yeah.
So yeah, we look for those. Fireplaces and campsites, which are a little bit rare because all the ground's been dug over a lot. But you just tend to find little things we call thumbnail scrapers. They're little blades, sometimes aren't much bigger than your thumbnail. And they'd scrape back their spears and their boomerangs with these little sharp-edged blades of stone. And they get the shape and the smoothness and even incise little patterns into them and stuff. So little blades and scrapers. So sometimes we could find lots of those. In one instance at Karlsruhe, we picked up about 6,500 stone tools.
So how far did you travel with the freeway, from where to where?
We represent the Dja Dja Wurrung nation, so we worked from Karlsruhe to Ravenswood.
And how long did that process take?
It took a couple of years, yeah. I remember we were at Taradale and they were celebrating because they'd actually moved 1 million tonnes of dirt.
Wow, that's a lot of dirt.
Yeah.
And how did it feel for you to, find bits of remnants of your ancestors and their life on this land?
Oh, look, it's really a sense of pride and stuff. I think it's evidence, actual physical evidence that Aboriginal people and sometimes your ancestors could have been there.
Yeah, it could have been your great-great-grandfather who held that sliver of stone to shape his spear or his boomerang.
Yeah.
Wow, how amazing.
Yeah, so, it's amazing. So, sometimes you work for days and weeks and not find nothing, but when you do, you get really excited.
Yeah. Obviously, the works didn't stop because the freeway went through. Was there a discussion about what would happen if you found anything really significant that would prevent the freeway from continuing?
There's processes in place. We only work to where what they call sensitive areas for cultural heritage material, which is a lot around waterways, swamps and rivers and creeks, and Aboriginal people tend to camp and travel not too far away from water. And some high points, they used high points for lookouts and stuff. So there's these things called sensitive areas where we would work. So sometimes we'd work for a few days and nothing for a few months. Sometimes we'll get a few days for every week for a couple of months.
Yeah, right.
But there was 15 or 20 people working, so to rotate the work around.
Wow. And what happened to all the bits and pieces that were found?
most of them went back to it, would go to the museum, the Aboriginal Museum, Bunjalaka in Melbourne. Some of them would go to the Dja Dja Wurrung Corporation. Sometimes we would try and put them back and bury them in the same place, and then the site retains its integrity, because once you take it away, it's no longer a site.
Yeah.
So we would try and bury them again if we could on the same place.
Yeah, sure.
And record it and know where they are. The little blades that are great, but when you find the greenstone axe head, man, that's amazing.
Did you find one of those?
Yeah, we found a few of those.
Wow.
Yeah.
And were you able to keep any for your own as a memento for yourself, or was that not quite the done thing?
No, that's not the done thing. Sometimes I'd slip one in my pocket.
Well, it was your great-great-great-grandfather's.
Yeah, I could have chipped that stone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. All right, great. Well, that's really interesting to hear what you did there. That's amazing. Rick, one of the things you do around town fairly regularly is Welcome to Country ceremonies. Can you tell us a little bit about what they are and how you do them?
Well, a Welcome to Country, or a Tanderum ceremony, as it's called, was a traditional thing that the mob's done when they were visiting neighbouring groups. It had a whole process, like there's half a dozen probably elements to it. You have a feed and a drink of water, the resource of the land. There's an exchange of gifts, and later on, they celebrated by like dancing and stuff, corroboree basically, and the smoking part of the smoking ceremony, which cleanses the body of any bad spirits which may have come along with you or attached themselves to you or things like that.
So when you do the smoking, this is probably what people will recognise if they've been to, any local event where you've been there doing a welcome. The smoking ceremony is the main thing people will have seen. Yeah.
Well, that's probably got the most visual element to it. But even back in the early 1800s, they were doing this to the European people as well. Of course, there's John Batman, one of the famous ones. He partook in a Tanderum ceremony. And even some of the shepherds and stuff, they used to call it the Freedom of the Bush ceremony because it gave them safe passage to travel through that tribe or clan's country. Yeah, so, lots of events want them these days, and community, and meetings and businesses and stuff.
So who's allowed to do Welcome to Country? Is anyone who is of Dja Dja Wurrung, are they allowed to do it? Or, is it only you?
No, it's not only me. There's probably anybody who's inviting people into their country could do it. But yeah, there's the Dja Dja Wurrung Corporation in Bendigo. They do a lot of them as well. And
with the smoking ceremony, I know you use particular leaves and trees. Can you tell us a little bit about which ones you use and why?
Yeah, there's the three types of leaves we use. There's manna gum, the big old river red gums. That represents the wisdom and strength of the elders. There's silver or black wattle. That represents the resources of the land, because we make tools out of that wood, so that represents the resources of the land. And native cherry or cherry ballart, because that needs a host plant to germinate and grow from. It attaches itself to the roots of other plants to germinate. That symbolises the need for the clan or the community to basically work together and stick together and help each other out. Yeah, so they're the leaves that we use. And we've had even asthmatic people and stuff go through the smoke and they don't have any difficulty breathing and that.
Are you allowed to do it on a total fire ban day?
No. Probably get put in jail.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say about Welcome to Country or that particular ceremony? Because you have a chant and you have the sticks and...
Yeah, that's part of just the singing the song with the music accompaniment thing, didgeridoo and clapsticks and we do little chants, basically explain, that they're coming on to Emu Country or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a nutshell, that's sort of it.
Well, we've got a sample of you doing a Welcome to Country ceremony, so we'll play that now. Rick and Tani, you've recently been to Melbourne for a pretty special event. Can you tell us what that was?
The Tanderum ceremony?
Yeah. Ellie, we were involved in a Tanderum, what's called a Tanderum ceremony. Basically, it's a welcome to country ceremony, and which we've done with the Kulin Nation, which is 4 or 5 of the Central Victorian tribes, or language groups as they're called today. And we opened and launched the Melbourne Festival this year in Federation Square, which this was the 3rd year. It's been ongoing for 3 years, but this may have been the last one. So it was quite a special occasion and really well taken, I think, by the public.
So what was your role in the ceremony?
We were dancers. Basically, we were the Castlemaine leg of the Dja Dja Wurrung representatives, I suppose you would say. There's about 7 of us that went from Castlemaine. 3 or 4 boys and 3 or 4 girls.
And how old are you, Tani?
8.
8. Were you nervous in front of all those people?
Yes.
I would have been nervous in front of all those people. And who else was there? What other tribes or language groups?
Wurring, the Wurring, Tangarang, Dja Dja Wurrung and Bon Wurrung.
Yeah, they're the members of the Kulin Nation. They were members of Central Victorian tribes who got on really well together and intermarried and would have corroborees and stuff. So all those groups were represented. There's probably 100 dancers.
So I've also had a chat to Will, who's a friend of Tani's at the meeting place, and he was also a dancer at Tanderum.
I danced in Federation Square, I should say, with my mob Wurrung. Every week we had to go to this place and we went on country to practice, and then after like 4 weeks or 5 we had to go to Federation Square and each tribe had to perform. I was with my mum, my sister, Auntie Jason, Uncle Brian. Yeah, had to wear lap. Yeah, had to wear like gum leaves on your ankles. You had to put ochre on you, different like patterns and stuff.
'Cause it
on your
goes
face
in the
and
voice.
in your hair.
Does it take long to do all that stuff?
Yeah, a little bit of long. And it's cold as.
So that was Will from the Wurring group near Daylesford talking about his experience dancing at Fed Square for the Tandarrum. So Rick, tell us who organised the Tandarrum.
Basically organised by the Ilbidgery Theatre Company in Melbourne. They're a theatre group, Aboriginal theatre group, and we had a couple of professional choreographers helping us with some of the dance. And you know, the guy who ran with the men, he'd studied dance up in Northern Territory and stuff, and at an Aboriginal dance school in Sydney, and so they were well governed and trained. Yeah.
So Tani, what was it like? How many people were watching you when you were dancing?
Basically, our whole group was dancing, and basically everyone was watching.
How many people do you reckon were
How
out
many
there?
people do you think were watching?
500 or more.
There'd be 2,000 or 3,000, I'd imagine.
And did the audience love it? Did they clap and cheer?
Yes.
Yeah, towards the end of the dancing, we invited members of the Melbourne Festival Coordinating Committee, I suppose you'd call it, and the Ilbidgery coordinators to come into the ceremony circle and dance with us, and also members of the audience could dance on the spot. Around the circle. It couldn't get everyone in the middle of the circle, so it was like a little flash mob, I think, what do they call them?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
There was a one rehearsal for the general public a couple of days before the event. There's plenty of videos and photos floating around on Facebook and YouTube. I'd like to urge all people to try and have a look if you can. It was an amazing spectacle. It was amazing being part of it, and I imagine it would have been great to watch it. Us Victorians cementing our culture back, performing it of all places, Federation Square in the middle of Melbourne. And there's 100 or so dancers. It was amazing. It was a great feeling to be in amongst that. After the corroboree ceremony, they had Bart Willoughby played a set, and Bunna Laurie from Coloured Stone played a set.
Thanks, Rick and Tani, for sharing your experiences at the opening of the Festival of Arts in Melbourne.
You're listening to a glimpse into the history and culture of the Dja Dja Wurrung people.
Presented by Uncle Rick Nelson and Ali Hanley. We would like to thank the Mount Alexander Shire Council for their generous support of this series.